Lilley marked time now by magnitudes of madness. Maybe it had always been so, since his earliest memories of the Villa in Diem where his family were slaves. Only now the insanity was doubled by the presence of the dragon. In dreams, in his waking hours, the dragon. He became a stranger to sleep. He was becoming a stranger to the finer elements of emotion, as if this folly with the dragon Raka and the man Raka was wrapped up in one churning chaos in his body. This chaos was shearing away the sharpness that had been forged through 32 years of life in war and servitude. Now he moved through the days like a dumb, blunt object, and more than once his beloved Janan had to nudge him into some semblance of pointed attention. "Nah, I'm here," Lilley would tell him with a smile, but neither of them were convinced. The lie had become so pervasive that Janan no longer called him on it, just watched him with ever-increasing concern. They had fallen into a routine of helplessness. Janan couldn't parse his chaos, even if sometimes he felt it through their bond, and Meka couldn't see through it to sense. Not even the Great Mothers could. So she told him to write everything down as if that could separate his coherence from confusion. What he was feeling, what he saw, both in dream and waking. But fashioning words for things made for scary shapes. A year since they'd left Kattaka in the north. A year since he'd found Janan again after half a decade of separation. And he now possessed a book of frightening ciphers. Flipping back through the papers in his hidebound journal, the scratch of ink resembled the ravings of a madman. Maybe it was time he accepted the diagnosis. Despite Raka's harassment at all hours, Lilley still held to one phantomless dream, and he shared it often with Janan, like it was a thread that must be woven back and forth between them, or else he'd unravel. It was a dream they knew well because they'd spun it back in their fighting days, when such musings were part of the armor to keep the madness of war at bay. It had worked, for the most part. "We'll go south," Lilley would start, whether they were around a campfire or on their backs looking up at the shadowed ceiling of their tent, shivering through winters or sweating through some months of sun. And Janan would carry the thought forward with, "We'll find a place that doesn't yet exist to anyone else." Lilley would continue, "So there would be no more fighting." Janan would counter, "But there would be a beach, white crystal sand like snow. Siracusa, they called it, after a name they'd discovered in a map book given to Janan by an old Mazoan warrior long ago." It went on, their elaborate fantasy of freedom.